Welcome back to McNulty's Book Corral. Today we're talking about Arthur Machen, the great Welsh writer who was born in 1863 and died in 1947. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with The Hill of Dreams, The Great God Pan, The Terror, The Bowman, and so many other novels, novelettes, and stories that he wrote, for which he is best remembered. However, today I'm only going to talk about one book, and in general a little bit about Arthur Machen. I first encountered Arthur Machen's work way back a long time ago in the 1970s. I know, it was a long time ago. And I read The Hill of Dreams, and I was hooked. So from there, of course, when you read The Hill of Dreams, that leads you into these other things. The Great God Pan, which is probably one of the greatest tales of terror ever written, and some of his other fascinating and interesting novels. Perhaps I'll talk about those in a different episode. Today, I only want to talk about this slender book that he published. This is a 1924 edition of a little book he wrote called Ornaments in Jade. It only has 10 sections in it, 10 little vignettes. It's very thin. This is a signed copy. I'll show you the signature in a moment. And it's always fascinated me. So if you're interested in creative writing, if you're interested in literary history, you might want to take a look at the French Decadent movement of the early part of the last century and so forth. It goes back 100 years ago at least. The French Decadent movement was about people that were interested in exploring things that society turned their backs on or ignored or pushed aside, were afraid to look at. This included occultism, sexual practices, and so forth, paganism, etc. The French Decadent movement had a great influence on a lot of artists and writers, including Arthur Machen. And so perhaps this book is an example of Arthur Machen exploring some of these themes, motifs, and imagery in the countryside of Great Britain at the period. 1924 this was published, and he explores a different theme with each of the 10 vignettes, and they're fascinating. So I'll give you a little hint here. I'll show you. So the vignettes included are the Rose Garden, the Turanians, the Idealist, Witchcraft, the Ceremony, Psychology, Torture, Midsummer, Nature, and the Holy Things. And each one has its own theme encompassed within it, its own motif, imagery, and themes. They're really, you can think of them as being connected or not as you choose when you read them. Most of them are a page. For example, here is, let's see if you can see it. So Psychology begins here, and then it ends over here. So it's about 1, 2, 3, 4 pages total, and that's it. A little less than that, actually. And that's typical of the selections that you'll find in here. There is available on Amazon a paperback reprint with a cover by Gustav Klimt, by the way, on here. You can easily find this reprint edition on Amazon, which has the complete text. So this was published, and the reason I like it is because as an example of creative writing, it's superb. The stories, there's no primary character here. There's no plot device. He picks a theme and he gives you 3 or 4 pages, and that's what you get. So if you're looking at something quite different as a creative writer, just to practice looking at that, to see how other great writers dealt with things, this is a good book for that. In the back of the book, he signed it here. It was a signed in limited numbered edition. This is one of 3 signed books that I own by Arthur Machen. Again, most of you are familiar with The Hill of Dreams and The Great God Pan and so forth. The Terror. The Bowman is such a great story. I remember when I first read The Bowman. What a fantastic tale. There's a lot to be said about Arthur Machen, but I wanted to just grab something a little more obscure. This book I have This first edition from 1924 is not in the best of shape. It's quite brown. The paper is quite brown. And so forth. But I treasure it because I just think that the writing just jumps out at you. And really a great example on how to write a vignette. So for you creative writers out there, see if you can find a copy of this, and take a look at this just for the sake of looking at something different and something creative. From one of the great writers of yesteryear, Arthur Machen, the great Welshman. What a fantastic influence he had, and what a great writer he was. Ornaments in Jade. Take a look at it, and if you get a chance to read it, put your comments down below. What did you think of it? What did it mean to you? What are the motifs, images, and ideas and themes that come across here? What exactly is he doing here? What is he exploring? Is it French decadence, or is he just having fun exercising his creative powers? Maybe it's a little bit of both, or all of this, or more. No matter, I can assure you, Ornaments in Jade by Arthur Machen is a fantastic and fascinating book. And until next time, stay well, my friends.